Hello, art friends. My name is Fleshwad, and today I have a Valentine's collab for you. I am really trying to get more involved in the horror narration scene, and I thought it being Valentine's Day was the perfect excuse to hold an all-girls horror narration collab. I tweeted out for some horror girlies to send in some love/Valentine's related stories, and I have 4 really good ones for you today. All horror narrators channels will be in the description below, so if you hear something you like, make sure to check them out. Thank you to all of the girls in this video. You are all super inspiring, and I dig so much the stories in this video. I have arranged the stories by length, and keep an ear out because I will also be reading an original horror story I wrote. So let's get started.
I kinda wish I listened to my friends when they said not to dine alone on Valentine's Day, but for completely different reasons. I was sitting alone in the most romantic restaurant on the most romantic day of the year. Couples were everywhere. It felt like every third table was getting engaged, and they would do it in the most cliché way possible, the ring in the champagne glass. I wasn't bothered by it though. Good for them. I was enjoying my meal by myself when the waiter comes to my table and hands me a glass of champagne. I say, "I didn't order this." The waiter explains that the man at the far left table sent it to me. I look over, but the table is empty. Weird, I shrug, and I bring the glass to my lips. But before I sip, I stop, because I feel something moving in the glass. I look down into the glass, and swirling in the golden alcohol is a cold severed finger. And on that finger is a gleaming diamond ring. I suddenly get chills up my spine. I turn to look at the table again, but this time there is a man sitting there with a crooked grin and very pale skin, almost translucent. You see, my friends were worried I would be alone on Valentine's Day, but I was worried that I wasn't.
The wolf is going to eat me. I see him start to roam. The wolf is going to eat me. I'm long, far away from home. The wolf is going to eat me. Its breath fogs heavy in the night. The wolf is going to eat me. I've no chance to survive a fight. The wolf is going to eat me in the woods on Valentine's Day. The wolf is going to eat me. I have no meat to keep it away. The wolf is going to eat me. It's caught my scent and slowed. The wolf is going to eat me. To our date, my husband never showed. The wolf is going to eat me. The moon is full and bright. The wolf is going to eat me. Its teeth glisten in the moonlight. The wolf is going to eat me. I'm far too slow to run. The wolf is going to eat me. It hunts me just for fun. The wolf is going to eat me. My flesh it will tear apart. The wolf is going to eat me. Meat sweetened by the fear in my heart. The wolf is going to eat me. It is inches from me now. The wolf is going to eat me. It licks the sweat from off my brow. The wolf is going to eat me. With breath hot, muggy, and thick. The wolf is going to eat me. It pins my foot as I try to kick. The wolf is going to eat me. That is no surprise. The wolf is going to eat me, and he has my husband's eyes. That was Wolf, written by N.M. Brown and narrated by Sinister Sweetheart. I'm a part of the Scarecrow Tales podcast. You can find us on any Apple or Android app, and we also have our own YouTube channel.
It's my first Valentine's Day alone in 5 years. But you know what they say, you're never truly alone. You are, of course, surrounded by friends and family, but That's not what I mean. It's been 3 months since the accident. Josh's accident. It was hard at first. Really hard. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't sleep or eat. My family and those that were close to me were a little worried, understandably. If I'm being honest, I was a little worried too. A month and a half after the accident, I finally worked up the courage to go and visit him. It was quiet, peaceful. I cried and told him everything I'd been keeping in since I last saw him. How I missed his touch, his voice. I told him goodbye and placed my hand where his body lay, decaying. "I'll be back for you," I whispered and left. My family thought I was wasting time this past month and a half, but actually, I've been studying, trying to figure out some way, any way, to bring Josh back. I had to have him back. Not too long ago, I was visited by someone in my sleep. He told me how to bring Josh back, how easy it could all be, how happy we could be. He said if I wanted him back, all I had to do was make a deal. Now, I know what you're thinking, and I'm not dumb, just in love. I signed yes and was told to go to Josh's grave that Thursday night, Valentine's Day at midnight. He said Josh would be there, waiting for me. I got dressed up that night, excited to see Josh, mascara running down my face, but that didn't matter. I knew he'd be happy to see me, runny makeup or not. I put on the outfit he had bought for me for Valentine's Day, a pink slip dress with tiny hearts all over. It fit perfectly. I pulled up to Josh's grave slowly. It was once again quiet, but not peaceful anymore. Something felt off. I ignored it. I didn't care about anything at the moment, only seeing Josh. I arrived at the grave, this time a deep hole where there had once been ground. I crouched down and sat on the edge. I peered into the grave and saw his coffin. I waited a couple of minutes, but it was silent and felt like an eternity. And then, all of a sudden, I heard a loud, muffled yelling. It was coming from his coffin. I couldn't believe it. Like I said, I'm not dumb. I didn't really think anything was going to happen, so all of this was catching me by surprise. I jumped in the open grave and removed the lid to the coffin encasing Josh. It was too dark to see, but I could hear his voice perfectly. "Josh!" I cried out. "Come closer," I heard him whisper. I kneeled closer, still unable to see. "Give me your hand," he whispered once again. I stuck my hand into the deep, dark nothing and felt something latch on. Whoever this was, it wasn't Josh. He devoured me, soul and all. My body became dust and my mind was lost. I ended up in nothing. But you know what they say, you're never truly alone.
Hello everyone. I am Lady Spookaria, and I'm a dark storyteller. If you are interested to hear more of my stories, come and subscribe to my channel. All my hearts. Valentine's Day is my favorite day of the year. There are public declarations of love, heart decorations everywhere, and the romance speaks to me. I never want to be alone on this day, and I admit I will go out to find my very own special Valentine. I love all the romance. I will find the loneliest men I can find. It doesn't matter whether it's in the flesh or online. A lot of them don't want to be alone on Valentine's Day either. And I don't blame them. I'm pretty sure there are some men who are attached, who come to see me. I would bring them to my home, seduce them. I would promise them the time of their life, whisper how they would forget everything else. And they believe every single word whispered from my lips. Once the door was locked and there was no escape for them, I would run my red lipstick over my lips one final time. Naturally, it was touched with a hidden surprise. I would lead them to my room of love. There is a long wooden table in the middle of the room. Greek and Roman statues decorate the edges. They have been dyed red with blood, with only small white areas still remaining. And the walls? The walls are decorated with the hearts of the previous year's victims. Each heart has been drained of blood and coated with varnish. I never want them to rot. I want them to stay with me forever. So far, there are 15 hearts that hang from the walls. And usually when they reach this point, they tend to have an inconvenient urge to scream and try to run for their lives. I am well versed in this. I would trip them and they would fall backwards onto the floor. Before they realize it, I am straddling them and lean forward to give them their final kiss. The poison on my lips acts fast. Soon, they are completely immobile, helpless to me. I want them to feel it all. I slowly tear their shirt open, revealing their bare chests to me. The twin tools of my trade are a sharp knife and a pair of bolt cutters. As I slice the skin, I whisper to him how much I love him, how much I adore him. Everyone deserves to hear that, don't they? I slice the skin, slowly pulling it away. Occasionally, I have to wake them up. They're in too much pain and fear, the poor darlings. But I must have my heart. Their eyes are wide. I crack their ribs to gain access to their heart. It's quite messy, but it's my favorite part. I cut around it and pull it up. I hold it in my hand. I will always admire it. Every heart is so different. Truly unique. I bend down and kiss his lips. Thank you. I whisper softly. Stroke their cheek with their still beating heart in my hand. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope you find a heart you love as much as I do.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Museys, and I'm here representing Museys Modern Dreadfuls. Part of this collab is at the beginning we're supposed to tell you why you should subscribe to each and every one of us. So I will try to keep this brief. I have been involved with performing arts since I learned to speak. And even before I could read, I actually had to listen to my lines on tape at first as a kid because I started acting before I could even read. So I have actually been an equity actress since age 4. I majored in theater and cinematic arts. I've been in films, plays, radio commercials, etc. But that's not why you should subscribe. You should subscribe because I just want to entertain you. And I like to interact with people. And I love to perform. And I hope you enjoy this story. Today, I am debuting an exclusive story for you written by Joey Harris. It's called Have I Told You How Much I Hate Valentine's Day? Have I ever told you how much I hate Valentine's Day? It has existed for over 1,500 years, and now I'm sure it was just as horrible back then as it is now. Maybe it's even worse now. Now, it has devolved into nothing more than a foolish holiday warped by corporations trying to sell their greeting cards and have fancy chocolates jostled down your throat. I decided to do something even better than all that for my partner this year. Instead of giving them a heart for Valentine's Day, I decided to rip out their own heart and show it to them just before it stopped beating. Metaphorically speaking. I believe it was Plato who likened love to a mental illness. That's the best analogy I ever heard. They say love makes you do crazy things. That's partially correct. However, it's the man you love that makes you go crazy. I gave that man 10 years of my life, and this is how he chooses to repay me? This is my Valentine's Day present? I thought that everything was perfect, that he loved me, until one day he just stopped caring. At first, it was just a bunch of little things that most people wouldn't give a second thought to, but they quickly began to add up to something much bigger. In the beginning, he just stayed out a little later with the guys, claiming they were bowling or some other activity. Then he would never answer his phone when I was looking for him. And finally, he started to lose interest when I tried to tell him about my day. Every time I tried to open my mouth, it seemed as though his mouth was wrapped around a beer bottle and there was always a different sports game on TV to drown out the sound of my voice. It was the day of February 14th when my suspicions got the better of me and I had to know what was up. I borrowed one of my friend's cars and decided to follow him while he was supposedly out with the guys. I wish I could feign surprise when I tell you that wasn't true, but I'd only be lying to myself. I parked down the street and watched as he approached the front door of a 2-story French provincial home with a BMW parked in the center of the driveway. Whoever this was wasn't hurting for cash. A young woman answered the door. She was wearing a striped sweater and taut blue jeans that strained as they hugged her curvaceous hips, and had long blonde hair that just barely made it to her breastline. My husband embraced her almost immediately after she opened the door. With his hands wrapped around her waist and his head nestled firmly in one of her shoulders, he tilted his neck from side to side to view both ends of the street, as if he suspected he was being watched. The two of them stepped inside and disappeared from my sight. Something clicked, and it couldn't have been the lock on the front door. I was too far away to hear that. This was the sound of my ailing psyche shattering into tiny pieces. An intense stabbing pain throbbed in my chest as tears flooded my face. My lungs burned from hyperventilating, and I felt like I might explode on the spot. How could he do this to me? Was I not pretty enough for him? Was the lifestyle I helped him build not good enough anymore? We didn't have a great house or a fancy car, but I thought what we did have was enough. I thought we had each other. He couldn't get away with this. I wasn't going to let him. That's when I got the idea. We were going out for a special dinner tonight for the holiday. I had to make sure it was the last special dinner he ever had. That night, we had agreed to meet at the restaurant. He said he would take an Uber. He had the nerve to show up 45 minutes late. I had waited so long that the place had given up our table. By the time he arrived, we had to take whatever seats they had available, which turned out to be the table way in the back by the kitchen. How romantic. He refused to tell me where he was all that time, only saying that he was busy. And I had a good idea of what or who he was busy doing. At that point, I didn't have the energy to be mad at him anymore, not even disappointed. I hoped he had a good time because I was going to have some fun of my own when we got home. But first, I had to make sure he was softened up a bit. I couldn't have him fighting back on me. Normally, I hated when he drank. But tonight was as good of a time as any for him to live it up. I made sure the waitress kept the drinks coming. She was bringing them out faster than he could finish them. And tonight, strictly beer wouldn't do. Absolute and tonic, Jack and Coke, Wild Turkey, neat. The stronger the better, in my opinion. He was in no condition to drive home, so the responsibility fell upon me. I'm no idiot. What's the slogan? Drive sober or get pulled over? I had a death wish. His death wish. And I wasn't about to let him take me along because he was too drunk to remember which way was up. We had to make a pit stop at a gas station. If this damn piece of junk car got more than 10 miles per gallon, that was something. My husband always said he would bring it in to get it looked at. That certainly worked out well. I guess when a man says they'll do something, they'll do it. There's no need to remind them every 6 months about it. Right? While I was pumping the gas, he stumbled inside the gas station, which I assumed was either to pee or vomit. As I sat in the car awaiting his return, I took the opportunity to look around the glove compartment. I forgot that he kept a knife in there just in case. I clutched the frigid weapon in my hands. It was so tempting to use it on him then and there. He would never have seen it coming. He would have hobbled his way back to the car, and a few pokes later, it would have been done with. Unfortunately, it wasn't him seeing it coming that I needed to worry about. If it got picked up on security footage somehow, I was screwed 6 ways from Sunday. Back at home was my best chance. He emerged from the gas station and returned to the car. The scent of chewing gum emanated from his breath in a poor attempt at concealing the regurgitation that I had accurately predicted. Nestled in his arms was a bouquet of yellow carnations, which looked thirstier than an alcoholic in a monastery, and a box of heart-shaped chocolates. The idiot waited until the last minute possible to think of a gift, and then he just handed them to me, like I was supposed to be grateful for the effort. I took the bouquet and smashed it against his face, but in his stupor, I don't think the gesture meant anything to him. He was just ticklish more than anything when I did it. By the time we made it home, he was fast asleep in the car. If I had been able to pull in the garage, I would have left him in there and let the car run, and end of story there. But the damn thing was locked up. Even the garage door opener wasn't working. I figured he must have placed something over one of the sensors and it was throwing the signal off. I'd deal with that in the morning. The lucky guy just bought himself a few extra minutes of life. I hoisted him up out of the passenger seat and threw his arm around my shoulder. It took a few minutes, but we eventually got through the front door and up the stairs. The whole time, he was still clutching those damn gas station chocolates in his hand. I made sure to take extra special care dressing him in his pajamas. It would look better that way when he was found. He went to bed and died in his sleep. No crime to investigate. Finally, I had him in bed, drunk and defenseless. But he kept drifting in and out of consciousness. Every time the pillow clutched in my hands was about to hit his face, he'd spring up and ask what I was doing, and then casually drift back to sleep. It was maybe my 3rd or 4th attempt when his routine changed. He staggered out of bed and headed for the bathroom. The sound of a steady stream of urine eased my tension. I thought he was going to be sick again and was in no mood to clean up the mess. Suddenly, a thunderous bang erupted from inside the bathroom. When he didn't come out after a minute, I got up to investigate. There laid my husband on the bathroom floor, blood gushing from a head wound. A streak of blood on the toilet seat told the story of what happened here. He must have lost his balance. Bending down, I checked for his pulse and called out to him a couple of times, but I wasn't seeing any signs of life. This couldn't have gone any more according to plan. This was perfect. He was dead, and it was a real accident. In his last moments of life, this cheating sack of garbage went ahead and did the work for me and died on his own. This was the best Valentine's Day gift he could have gotten me. I wanted to celebrate, if only for a moment, before I called the police and feigned shock and horror. Suddenly, I was in the mood for something sweet, and that gas station chocolate wasn't sounding too bad after all. I strutted over to the nightstand on my husband's side of the bed where he had placed it. Accompanying the chocolates was a note, neatly folded up and placed within the box. It wasn't with the chocolates before, so he must have written it ahead of time? What did this jerk have to say to me now? Was he breaking up with me? Was he confessing about the other woman? There was only one way to find out. I began to read the letter to myself. Hey, honey. I know things haven't been the best between us lately, and I'm sorry about that. I mean it this time. And to prove it to you, I think I got you something you're going to really like. It might be a few years old, but if you're willing to give me one last chance, I think our marriage will last just as long as your shiny, new to you anyway, pre-owned BMW. It has fewer bells and whistles than I would have liked, but I know you haven't been happy with our old car, and I remembered how fond you were of Beamers. I was so excited when I found it that I practically jumped into the nice lady's arms. It's parked in the garage waiting for you. Tomorrow, let's take it for a spin. I love you, baby. Happy Valentine's Day.
And that was the last story I have for you in this collab. Once again, thank you to all of the girlies who are featured. It was so fun collabing and listening to your stories and drawing to these stories. And that is going to be all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next video. Bye.